This audio fiction may contain elements not suitable for children. Listener discretion is advised.
Aettus Goldenscales, an amber dragon and druid from the Rainy Peaks Mountains, and his companion, Lucio Spellweaver Brinewillow, a traveling consecrated chasm dam of wood elf and turquoise dragon heritage, are walking through the Nerinus Domain. Aettus, as part of his pilgrimage to understand the world better, is beginning by visiting the druid domains and their ruins. He hopes that walking the lands where Avani and her children had lived will establish a spiritual connection between himself and Avani, the nature goddess. Lucio is from the Nerinus Domain and often returns home to visit.
This area is beautiful. It feels vibrant and full of life.
Yes, the royal family and the other druid-blooded inhabitants of the area keep it purified. The flowers bloom during the summer, and the area is thus fragrant and pleasant to walk.
You know some of the druids who preserve Avani's legacy here?
Yes, I grew up in the area. There are many druid orcs and dragons in addition to the wood elves that are known to live here, and many of them simply maintain a small area dedicated to the nature goddess. Only a few of the most elite warriors does what the other portion of guarding this domain is.
And what would that be, Spellweaver?
There are many creatures that live near here. Some are like those butterflies and songbirds we are seeing constantly. Others are larger, such as deer, bears, and wildcats. But then, there are others.
The Chasm Dam man, Lucio, seems concerned about something. He is searching the forest expectantly, while the two men walk along the well-formed dirt path.
Such as what?
Harpies nest in mountainsides. Some aquatic fae rest on the shores near the sea.
It is like that with my homeland, too. We have had our presence blessed by the rare sightings of unicorns or sprites.
Yes, such as those.
You seem as though you are leaving something out of your explanation, and it is proving worrisome.
Oh, well...
Much to Ada's surprise, 4 nymphs rush toward him. The 4 fae swoon and begin coyly interacting with the 2 travelers.
I realized all too late that it is the mating season for nymphs.
Mating season?
Oh my, you 2 are tall and handsome.
They are. I want them to myself.
No, we can share them.
That does sound like the best solution.
Share us?
Yes, it is our mating season, and we're always looking for wonderful lovers.
Especially men who will bless us with beautiful children, such as the 2 of you.
If you would, consider the offer?
Oh, dear sister, I am certain they will.
Charm then eyes Lucio in particular. She becomes transfixed on the traveling minstrel.
Oh, especially him. Ooh, I like him.
Oh, he is quite handsome. But both of these lovely travelers are.
Allure and Demure then turn their attention to Aettus. They seem more drawn to him than they are the consecrated man.
I like him better.
He feels close to nature. To me.
Oh, I think you're right, Demure. I think he's a druid. And we love druids.
And I like dragons.
Oh no.
This pilgrimage has not gone the way I had expected.
The 4 nymphs are immediately hit by a spray of water. Yadira, one of the Nerinus princesses, charges at the nymphs and the 2 visitors to the domain. She readies her staff and another magical water attack.
You know you're not supposed to be on the path that leads through town. Get back into the wilderness. Now!
Oh, but they're so pretty.
She's the one who wouldn't let us have fun yesterday either.
Oh, she is. Perhaps we should come back later then.
Yeah, she'll keep hitting us with magic.
The four nymphs hurry off into the forest, given their alternative.
Must you keep running ahead of me like that?
Following not far behind the princess of the domain is her half-dragon knight, Kavi.
When you are too slow, of course I must. Otherwise, these two visitors to the domain would have been dragged off into the forest by the nymphs.
You know as well as I do that it's not that I'm slow, it's that you're impatient. We would have easily gotten here in time.
You don't know that.
One of the other princesses of the Nerinus Domain and her knight also approach the two visitors.
So, we have some visitors. At least no harm has befallen them.
Indeed. It is good that we arrived when we did.
We should have thanked them, but...
They are going to be arguing for a while. Pay them no mind.
Then, perhaps we should thank the two of you instead.
Your thanks is not necessary, but we can escort you to where you need to be in order to avoid the nymphs.
That would be appreciated.
Shouldn't we tell them?
Oh no, the two of them will realize that we have left soon enough, I'm sure.
Come along. There's no telling how long it will be before more nymphs decide to try their luck.
In the Nerinus royal family compound, the altar to commune with the gods marks the sacred realm in which the Aether realm and the mortal realm meet. Upon the request of Aettus, the royal family has given him access to the altar for his spiritual journey to enlightenment.
As you can see and probably sense, since you two are a druid, this place has the constant flow of both divine and sublunary energy from the mortal plane.
Yes, that is apparent to anybody who has ever communed with the gods.
Very. I can practically feel it in my bones.
Not that that's unexpected, consecrated.
This feels... odd. But... right. Much like at the zenith of my home mountains.
There are many places like this throughout the world, but it feels wonderful, calming.
I can only imagine what the sensation must be like.
I have been here countless times. It always relaxes me.
It is quite pleasant.
Are you going to pray for speed and agility while you're here?
No, I'm going to pray that you stop being so impetuous and impatient and that you'll allow me to do my job.
I will pray that you gain respect for the fact that I am royalty then. It would be a start.
Oh, I respect that you're royalty, but that hardly makes you worthy of the respect for your bloodline.
So, shall we move forward, dear druid?
Perhaps. I do have to plan for the rest of my journey.
I have no idea how the two of them can bicker when we're in a holy realm. Thank you for excusing them.
I could be wrong, but their bickering seems second nature to them.
It really is. They've always been like that.
Oh, I have mostly grown able to ignore it because it has happened with such frequency.
I suppose we could retire for the evening, though.
If that is what you would like, I believe we can arrange for that.
But of course, please, follow us.
Of course. Thank you.
With that, a large portion of the group left the room.
I am going to wish for my night to be more pleasant.
I am plenty pleasant.
Not to me.
Would you imagine that?
You don't have to follow me. We're in my home. Stay and wish for whatever you want most in the world.
With that, the princess left the altar room.
I can't. No, I won't.
After accepting the Nerinus royal family's offer to stay for a few days on the domain, Aettus and Lucio are resting from their travels.
So, You are familiar with the Aettus Domain. That is quite a boon for my trek to each of the druid domains.
It is. The royal family and I are on good terms, too, which is all the better.
I am learning so many surprising things about you as of late.
You, are?
You know the Aettus royal family. You are from the Nerinus Domain. You are a wood elf that uses magic. Something many think is an impossible contradiction.
Well, that last one is due to my mixed heritage.
But, more importantly, to answer your question, I am in fact learning more about you. A lot of new information lately, but for every question that is answered, more questions arise.
I, see.
I lived on a mountain that was sparsely populated, so I did spend my life alone. You seem to be choosing that life. Why, when you could have a companionship, would you want to avoid it?
Well, I'm consecrated. It's hard to know who wants my companionship, and simply who's drawn to my divinity. It's easier if I just avoid having many companions.
No. I have read that the consecrated are not affected by other consecrated, and even that some are less affected by the presence of gods and other divine beings. Is any of that true?
Not being affected by each other, I can confirm. The presence of gods and divine beings, I can't say with certainty.
I see. I wonder if any consecrated have met any gods.
Again, I can't say. I know one or two that have made the claim, but...
I wonder why one would lie about such a thing. Some gods may be tempted into disputing such untrue claims.
That I cannot say.
Your divinity is why you are intentionally alone, then?
It is. So if you don't mind the sudden topic change, why are you doing this?
Doing what?
This pilgrimage of yours. Going out to every druidic domain, I think you said?
Because I came to realize that I know so little about the world. As old as I am, I have not done much or experienced anything outside of my home.
I see. And then you've set out to see the druidic domains.
Well, the gods, if anybody, would have the answers of what one should do, no?
Lucio quietly contemplates Ada's words for a moment before nodding.
That makes sense.
So, I am going to be with the gods and commune with them.
I see. So you're doing it to find your path in life.
I suppose that is the crux of it. Otherwise, I am simply going to return to the mountains and pick up my druidic responsibilities where I left off.
And from what you've said, that would hardly be fulfilling.
It may be the most fulfilling thing I ever do. But I flew in to visit one brother and found out that we had been apart for so long that he had a wife and several children. I flew to visit another brother to tell him the news, and found him with his wife and newborn child.
So, less that it's unfulfilling, and more that you're afraid that there are other aspects of life that you'll miss out on.
My brothers married their latest sacrifices. I walked mine home.
Sacrifices?
Oh, right. We don't want sacrifices, but people think that we need to be appeased or bad things will happen to their villages. So, every few decades, a sacrifice gets sent up to the mountain for us. Usually, a pretty young, unmarried lady for us to eat or marry. After somebody in the village with knowledge of the previous pleas dies, another round of sacrifices gets sent up to the mountain the first time there's a flood, blight on the crops, what have you.
Oh, so it's just superstitions, because you're dragons.
They don't even know we're dragons most of the time.
No? Then why?
They believe us to be some sort of monster that brings them misfortunes unless we are appeased.
That's foolish on their parts. Do they not think to find out if there actually is a monster?
Apparently not. They would rather send somebody to their death in the hopes that there is a monster to appease, instead of going and investigating the mountains.
That's just frustrating to imagine.
Regardless, they married those women. They simply accepted them as brides, and now they have children. Nothing at all what I had been expecting when I arrived.
I see.
It was so bizarre. I could not imagine wanting to marry the young girl that was sent to appease me.
And your brothers saw fit to do so.
It never occurred to me.
All right. So you're heading for the Aettus Domain after this?
Should I have?
Aettus?
Was that my only opportunity to get married?
Lucio waves his hand in front of Aettus's face in an effort to get the dragon's attention.
Huh? What is it?
I asked you a question, and you stopped paying attention.
My apologies. What did you ask?
You were heading to the Aettus Domain after this, right?
I am. Yes. It is close, and yet notoriously difficult to venture onto.
Well, as I said, I'm on good terms with their royal family. I could help you with that.
I would appreciate that. And in return, if you ever want to stay away from civilization for a while, I do live in a remote village on a mountain.
That does sound quite nice.
And if you don't mind the isolation, it is quite beautiful, but rainy.
I think I'll manage just fine with that.
Then that is what you can do, even if I'm not there.
That offer is quite generous.
Please, think nothing of it. An offer for a helpful friend.
If you insist, I suppose.
When nymph mating season is finished, we should depart. That way we can avoid inconveniencing our hosts.
That makes ample sense to me.
Otherwise, let's enjoy relaxing on the druid domain.
Yes, we have been invited to stay after all.
After the nymph mating season ended, the two travelers were taken to the border trail that is closest to the Aettus Domain. The group of border protectors that found them escorted them to safety and said their goodbyes.
I greatly appreciate your family's hospitality and welcome.
Of course, we do appreciate other druids as well as those who seek spiritual enlightenment.
But your kindness will always be appreciated. However, we must depart.
But of course, find yourselves well.
Goodbye.
Both men wave as they depart.
So, the two of them seem very nice, friendly, genuine.
They were. It was a pleasure to meet them.
I hope they return.
And why, pray tell, is that?
They're so amicable, and easy to get along with, and handsome. Why wouldn't I want them to return?
I see.
Why? Didn't you like them?
I did not have the time to form any real opinion about them.
I'd have loved to have gotten to know them better.
Is that so?
But of course, perhaps I should have asked them to return.
Yadira, I feel as though, well... Maybe don't save your heart for the two travelers who may never return. Seek that sort of companionship here.
What? Who said anything about my heart?
Wow, I did not think this could have actually escaped your awareness.
Perhaps we ought to change the subject.
So I'm the only one who is curious about the places I've never been?
You were speaking as if you had fallen in love with one of them.
When I know nothing about them, that hardly makes sense.
That is regardless how you were speaking.
It was not my intent. After all, I hardly know them.
I see. All right.
So what are we going to do for the remainder of the day? The nymph mating season is over, and we don't have anything else pressing for our druidic rounds.
I am not sure. We can figure something out, though, I believe.
What do you intend to do, Kavi?
That would depend on what you intend to do.
Go home, get a basket, and pick apples.
Then I suppose I intend to go pick apples with you.
Yadira took Kavi's hand. She began pulling him along with her.
Good, since you can lift me up so I can reach even more.
All right.
I cannot believe how oblivious my sister is.
Oh, Kavi is so terrible at hiding it, no less.
If he simply told her, things would be far less complicated.
Rosalia shakes her head.
He's too dedicated to being a knight to do that.
He prioritizes his fealty over other feelings. She's completely oblivious. This is not ideal.
Though I do not know if they would work out. considering how much she seems to dislike him most of the time.
Me either, but nevertheless, we have the day to do whatever we would like. Let us walk and enjoy the forest.
I would enjoy that, my lady. Osane?
Yes, Rosalia?
I am glad you and I get along well. Better than your sister and her knight.
As am I.
Aettus and Lucio made it from the trading path to the edge of the arborist druid domain forest. There at the start of the forest, the warm, tranquil sensations of the druid domain invite them onto the path into the forest.
Where are you going after the druid domains?
I believe I'm going to visit the largest temples of each god. Live among the clergy for a brief while.
Where did this idea come from?
While we were in the sacred realm, I had a dream while we stood there. It felt as though I was simultaneously awake and asleep. And there, in that moment, I felt drawn to the gods' temples.
That had to have been quite an experience.
Yes, but I also felt reaffirmed in my pilgrimage, as though I will find the answers I seek.
I am happy to hear that, but we should concentrate. Much like the Nerinus Domain, this domain is filled with beasts and fey creatures.
Oh, right. Yes. Thank you.
And these druids are far less inviting.